Serious. Stop being a bitch.
All right, Lemonheads, what's up? I'm your boy Fungus. This is Xavi Guerrero right next to me right here. And this is the Vive City FC podcast, season 2, episode 5, the Sunpass Derby episode. So before we get into the actual match, I just want to thank everybody for following us and watching along. I know you guys were all, watching that match last weekend. Crazy outcome, which we'll get into. But I just want to let everybody know that, we did put out a poll before the match to see what that derby was going to be called. And fans voted, man. It ended up with the Sunpass Derby. That's what we're going to go with from now on. Xavi, how are you, brother?
Good. Doing great, but happy after that, a huge victory. I saw the Sunpass Derby thing, but I put Clásico on it. So
that was it's all good, man.
That was my little spin to it.
It's gonna take a while for everybody to get used to the name Sunpass Derby. Maybe they'll sponsor us. We'll see. But that's what it is. Yeah, that would be great. But that's what it is, man. Sunpass Derby. I'm hesitant to call it Clásico just because, bro, Clásico is left for the greatest teams.
The big boys. Yeah,
exactly. We're not there yet. Maybe one day we'll update the name to the Sunpass Clásico. But for now, Sunpass Derby, it is.
We got to give it a Spanish twist to it. So I'm going to say Sunpass. Sunpass
El Sunpass, El Derby.
Sunpass Derby.
That's right, man. So let's get into the game. Obviously, if you were watching, you know the outcome. Miami, they kind of whooped on Orlando City 5-0. And it was like right off the bat, Miami just went off, man. Give me your takeaways.
Oh, absolutely. Every time Miami starts strong like that, it's a long night for the opposing team. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect that. Obviously, I had expected a close game 2-1. A lot of respect for Orlando City, a team that's deep, team that's talented. They still are, even though they've started like very, very low, But it's still a very strong team, and there's a long season, so I'm sure they'll turn things around. But it was unexpected. I did want or expected for Suarez to pop in because before the game, I said it's a great opportunity for him to endear himself to the fans because the first 2 games, people were already throwing shade at him and, this guy, and why do we get him? And I said, look, this is a legendary player. He just came from Brazil, one of the hardest leagues, and was MVP. So you gotta have a little faith, give him a little time. Everybody does worry about the knees, obviously, and the age. It's a concern. But Tata didn't bench him. People were asking for Campana. Tata said, no, it's only 2 games I'm playing. And Tata was right.
Yeah. And look, I also thought it was going to be a closer battle. I didn't think it was going to be so one-sided that way. But as soon as the lineups came out and I saw that Orlando didn't have Luis Muriel or Nico Lodeiro in the starting lineup, then I had my doubts. You know what I mean? You have to start your best players. And I'll get into Orlando's CONCACAF Champions Cup match a little later. But after the match, I asked Coach Oscar Pareja if, we've seen a bunch of different lineups from Orlando. They've played 5 games this season thus far.
Wow.
And it seems to be different lineups every time. I asked them if that has something to do with, a technical with the teams that they're a tactical approach based off the teams that they're playing, or a tactical approach based off of playing a bunch of games in a short amount of days. And he basically admitted, we have a lot of games and I want my guys to be fresh. So he basically said load management, which I'm not a fan of. You know what I mean? You start your best players. That's my philosophy. I'm not a coach, obviously, so I gotta give him credit where credit's due. He's a head coach in the MLS, so he does know a little something. But I happen to disagree with that.
Former player too. Former player, pretty good player too. Yeah. But the thing is, each coach has their way of thinking, their point of view, you know, and I can respect that because, like I said before, before the game, I'm looking at the starting 11 for Orlando City. I said, oh, this is a very strong team. And then I look at the bench, and it was a really strong bench too. Very comparable to Inter Miami, not name-wise, right? Like Inter Miami has like names, but quality and thinking, you know, what they can produce on the pitch. Very comparable and actually a little bit more veteran on the bench, guys with a little more experience, right? Coming in, we have a lot of, Inter Miami has a lot of younger guys coming in, but good players, but just a little bit younger, less experienced. And I can understand him having confidence in his players to rotate because, I mean, you have Duncan Maguire, right? He was going to go to the Premier League. He's
the championship.
Championship. He's the player that starts instead of Muriel. He scored 12 goals that season as a rookie. So you have somebody that's really, really talented. And then Lodeiro, to be honest, I was not impressed with his game against Miami. All respect because we know the type of player and what he can do. But in that particular game, he was very weak and he didn't really offer what was expected of him. You know, when he came in, this is the guy that you're supposed to hold the ball and distribute and control the flow of the game for Orlando. And he wasn't able to do that. And then defending, it's not his strong suit, and he left like a hole on the defense too. So that's what we're going to talk when we're talking about low management. We're going to see tomorrow, you know, but we'll talk about that a little further. But we're going to see that with Miami. I think there are going to be some changes, and I believe that Tata has to feel the same way as far as who he's going to put in is a very good player. Also, you know, you have your starters; they're starters for a reason, but the drop off isn't as great as previous years. You know, it's a little bit closer. So you should expect quality.
Yeah, I can respect if Pareja wanted to leave some of those guys on the bench because maybe they didn't match up as well, you know. But it's the very beginning of the season. These guys they're not tired. They're not tired yet.
They're young too. They're younger. It's a younger team than Miami. There's some veterans there, but overall, it's a younger team.
And you know, it's important to build up momentum also in the beginning of a season. You know, you don't want to get off to a bad start or a sort of flip-flop kind of start and delay that momentum. You know, Orlando ended up going on a great run at the end of last season, you know, but you want to establish yourself as soon as possible, of course.
You want to start strong, especially a team like that that was predicted by a lot of the pundits to be the Supporter Shield's winner. They're expecting how strong they are. They're expecting them to do that, and they haven't. I think that it's a combination of things. What you were saying, all these different lineups each game. The core group needs to gel. There's always a core group, but overall, the starting 11 needs to gel to a certain. I think it's something that Miami, you know, those 6 preseason games helped. You know, they were getting whooped and things didn't look great. But in that process, they kind of gelled and starts forming because it's a process. It's, you know, some teams start out strong. They come out like flash and then they wither down at the end, right? You want to be, and I think Inter Miami wants to be that steady team that's there throughout. This is a great start for them. And they're getting stronger, right? It looks like they're getting stronger roster-wise. And then they still have players that are injured that are gonna come back. So this could be a very, very, very strong team, like we've not seen before in MLS. Yeah,
and I think for Orlando, that like how you mentioned, having that continuity for them right now is super important because they just replaced. They got rid of last year's captain. They replaced him with Nico Lodeiro, right? Duncan was supposed to be gone, but he ended up staying. But they ended up bringing in Luis Muriel, anyways, who's gonna be most likely the starter.
He should be
exactly. But so those two guys, those two veterans, are gonna end up becoming leaders on the team just because of who they are, just because of their veterans, you know,
their pedigree and what they've accomplished in their careers. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And they still got gas. It's I mean, we're talking about veterans, but nowadays that these guys, they're 33, 34, 35. Physically, it's like they're 29, 27, 28, 29 if they've taken care of themselves throughout their career.
If they've taken care of themselves, But what my point is that a lot of the younger players that stepped up last season, like Facundo Torres, right? Angulo, those guys, maybe they're young. They're young. They stepped up. They're ballers. They were ballers last season, and people expected them this season to take another step forward.
They will. They will.
I believe they will too. But when you have these sort of veterans coming into your team, you kind of feel like you have to defer to them. You know what I mean?
It's the normal feeling, right, for a young player.
Exactly.
Except if you're one of those young, exceptional, phenomenal, not very comes along very often type player. Like let's say a Wayne Rooney. You know, you come in at 18, 19, and you don't give a shit who anybody is. You go in there and you're a badass. It doesn't.
Exactly.
It's not the norm, right? But the two guys you mentioned are very, very talented players.
They are,
and I expect them to do well. So they started. They're in a rut. They start in a rut.
Yeah.
I think the coach is overthinking things because I think when you have good players, you play them, and they're a young team. I mean, and that's why I go back to Tata. Like Tata's like everybody's telling him, "Hey, no, Busquets, sienta no, put Campana," and he's like, "Yeah." He put his people. He's got a very veteran team. Like it was just the two young guys. Everybody else, the other 9 starters are guys with lots of experience, MLS and beyond. And he's kept playing them. But I think in this game now there will be some movement. Maybe some of the young guys coming in. Maybe some of the vets coming in at the half for various reasons.
And that's great because Tata went with his guys in the beginning of the season, and now if there needs to be load management, he'll start bringing that in little by little. Orlando did it right off the bat. That which doesn't make sense to me. But another point that I was trying to get to is that these young guys are deferring to these older players when really this is their team. This is their team. They should, and I know it's hard if you're a young player, you know what I mean? Maybe you haven't built up that leadership, but they should have taken it upon themselves to show the veterans, hey, yeah, you guys are veterans. We're going to listen to you and everything.
Look at me.
But this is the style that we play here. Or, this is what we're doing here. How can you help us improve? Instead of waiting for the veterans to show you a little something, you got to demand it. If you were a leader in a previous season, that's it, bro. You can't take a step back. You have to either stay where you are, and that's acting how you acted at the end of last season, or move forward in your leadership. You can't take a step back. It doesn't matter how young you are. Once you establish yourself as a leader, that's where you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think Orlando has some young, strong leaders on the team. What happened? Another thing is similar. Let's say into Miami, you got the fantastic Messi and the Fantastics, right? The 4 guys coming in, older guys coming into a young team. What happened? They are very humble, and you've seen them where they take the guys, talk to them, explain, and they give them that confidence too. As an older, experienced player coming in, you need to go into that locker room. Immediately you walk into the locker room with confidence, right?
Yeah.
But you need to go into the locker room and realize, okay, this guy, he's pretty good, but he needs this. Hey, you know what? Look, do this. Move over here. You need to have that communication as that veteran player and give those younger players confidence. So it's their part too. They need to do that with the players.
Course.
And the younger guys need to set their lines.
And maybe they are. Maybe Lodeiro and Muriel, they are talking to these guys. But the difference between Miami and Orlando is that none of the Miami young players were in any type of leadership role before Messi and the Fantastics got there. You know what I mean? So
not the young guys, no, absolutely. But
none of the young guys.
The young guys are really young.
Exactly.
You know that.
Well, so are Orlando's young guys. They're also really young, but they had already established themselves in the league. Even
they had more
experience. After every game last season, we were talking to Facundo Torres. We were talking to Dagger Thorolson. We were talking to these guys. And they're already to the point where they're media savvy. They can handle themselves. They're leaders. So for them to take a step back, and at least that's how I am observing it. I'm not saying that that's exactly how it is.
That's your view from there.
That's my view from what I've seen.
Close up, right?
Exactly. That shouldn't be that way. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think the more continuity Orlando has, and the coach did say that as well. But it has said that he understands that they need continuity in order to to improve as a team. So I think the more that we see that, the more the team will improve and guys will be able to be more comfortable with each other.
Agree.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I think all of that contributed to that 5-0 shellacking from Inter Miami to Orlando, because the young guy, first of all, Muriel and Lodeiro didn't start the match, so you didn't have your best guys, and second of all, your young guys that usually stepped up last season are now deferring, but they're deferring to guys that were on the bench, so they
I
weren't
think
playing with
I
that
think
full
I think
confidence.
I think a lot. Also, Miami was extremely efficient.
Oh, for sure.
They were extremely efficient with it.
I think Miami was going to win that game regardless.
And yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And they defended. They're defending at a much better rate than they had, preseason and the beginning of the season. How much
Dude,
they pressured, and they didn't give space. They've never
Miami's
done that way.
defense, that was the best defensive game that they've ever played.
I think as a team, they just moved on a block and they closed the gaps and the spaces for Orlando.
Yeah.
And Orlando was very uncomfortable, and there wasn't that difference. Facundo should have been that difference maker, right?
Yeah.
He didn't that game.
No,
He didn't. Maybe
didn't.
maybe they're caught off surprise. They were thinking they're coming in, that Miami veteran team is gonna maybe wait or something. No, they came out right at them. And then you get a goal scored at 4 minutes, and then you get another goal scored in 10 minutes, and then you get a third goal at the 28th minute.
Yeah,
that's game. And they're lucky.
How do you come back from
it? And they're especially not against Miami at home, against Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Jordi at home, up 3-0 at the half. You're not coming back.
Yeah,
they got lucky they didn't get 7 on them. To be honest with you, they got lucky because Gresso's shot hit the pole, and they called an offside. That was really close. So they got lucky they didn't get 7, and that surprised me. Because Miami didn't take their foot off. I love that.
Didn't.
I love that. Most teams in the world go back, line of contentions, wait, give the ball, and let you. No. Miami didn't give up. They kept going.
Yeah, I think Miami, the way they played, if they're going to continue to play that way, which I think they will, they're going for that sort of Tiger Woods effect where you are already in the opponent's head before the match even starts. You know what I mean? I think they sent out a message to the rest of the MLS against Orlando because, like you said, Orlando was thought to be that team at the beginning of the season. Everybody thought they were number one power rankings in the preseason, Lemon City Live power rankings that you put together. So, and you're not the only one. There's a lot of people around the league that picked Orlando to be, at least in the top 5.
And they still can be. To be honest,
I fully believe that they'll get back.
A very long season.
Yeah, I fully believe Orlando will get back there just because their squad is so deep and they have a bunch of strong players, and they'll eventually figure out that continuity and they'll get back into the top 5. But I think Miami sent a message by doing that to a top 5 team.
Prime Mike Tyson.
You know what I mean?
Mike Tyson walked in and the guy's already bell rings, boop, boop, you're down. That's what happened there. Mike Tyson came in staring, bell sounding, and boom, right in the kiss. I mean, Miami just got on them and wouldn't stop and didn't stop. And
exactly.
that is a big point, a big message, right? That they're sending. Yeah. And I think they can send another message tomorrow with a mixed team, because this is a tough game, but Nashville is not at 100%. Whatever you are, we can get into that. But
let's go. Let's get into the Nashville game.
That's a big game. That park over there is difficult to go play over there. Teams don't usually walk out of there with wins. Most draw, but they have their designated players. Are Silverman was coming back from an injury. Only played, I think it was like 60 minutes the last game. So he's working his way back in. I'm sure he's going to play maybe a little bit more, but he's still not maybe physically fit or 100%. When you have time off from an injury, you don't come back 100%. Very few people do. Yeah. And then Surridge injured. He's not going to be playing this game for sure. He injured his shoulder, the forward. And then Mukhtar is not 100%, but he's more than likely going to play. And I'm sure he'll play well because he's a stud.
Of course.
Their top 3 are not there. So their offense
So
scoring, their ability to
mhm,
score, it has been a little bit compromised. So if Miami, can get in there and get up 1-2
mhm.
early, it's going to be tough for Nashville.
All right. So you're saying it's not going to be easy, but there's a great opportunity for Miami to walk away with a win.
I think so, and an
Mhm.
opportunity to rest. Like let's say Suarez can come in the second half. If Campana, I think this is a game where Campana.
True.
I think this is a game where Campana can play. Jordi Alba for Miami was not in practice today. They're saying that he has a cold, so they're being coy about it. No one knows if they're going to play or if he's going to play or he's not going to play.
Uh-huh.
I more than likely think that he's not if he's sick, and we haven't seen him on the pitch, and the coach is kind of like not giving clear answers. I don't think
Yeah.
he's going to play. But there you
Mm.
have Noah Allen, who's a very good player, and he played well. For me in the preseason when he was on the left. He played left center back because
Mhm.
I thought they were trying to fight, and I thought he did okay. Not terrible, not great. I think he did okay. But when
Yeah.
he played on the left, he looked much more comfortable than he ever did, giving good passes, going up. So
Mhm.
I think he can do a good job there. And I think those are two things. Federico Redondo had got his papers, his permits.
That's
The
right.
the big time prospect from Argentina that so many people wanted, thought he was going
Mhm.
to Europe, and now he's here.
You think he'll get the start?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think he might come off the bench. I
But
think
he's supposed to replace Yedlin, right?
no. He's a midfielder. I'm gonna
Okay.
call him like baby Busquets.
Okay.
He's a similar type, tall, lanky,
Okay. Okay.
sits there in front of the defense in the pocket, gets the
Mhm.
ball, gives good passes out, and has ability to go forward. And has scored some goals
Mm.
too. He scored a few goals in the U23 tournament. So he's
Okay.
a very very talented player. I think for me he's more of a Busquets fit, right? On the
All
right
right.
side, I'm not sure what they're going to do yet.
Yeah.
He might bring Gressel back. I'm not sure. I didn't check to see if Boatwright is on the roster, but Israel Boatwright, young right back, I really
Mhm.
like him. I think he has a bright future. I think he's a player that he defends well and then he attacks. He's very dangerous on the attack. So
All
I
right.
like him. I'm not sure who they're going to play there tomorrow.
All right. So I want to ask you about Yedlin a little bit, right? He played great against
That game
Orlando
was one of his best games ever for Miami.
for sure. Do you think if he would have played like that more consistently, he would still be on the squad?
If there's a big probability.
Mm-hmm.
He underachieved on the
Mm-hmm.
pitch. He did a decent job, a good job because he's a very very talented player, but he didn't consistently play at an excellent level, at a high level. What you expect from a veteran, a team
Yeah.
captain, a player, national experience. Played foreign leagues. He played in England. He played in Turkey. He's
Yeah.
been
Played for big
around.
clubs. Mm-hmm.
He played for big clubs. You expected more from him. I definitely
Yeah.
expected more from him, but he gave, he gave a decent effort. I think they did a good job, with the trade because that opened up in the budget lots, some money, got some a little bit of gam, and he's a piece to bigger movement because that's how Henderson works, right? He does
Mm-hmm.
that. I think he was okay. I think he's going to be okay in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Um,
Who do you
that's a
think is
very
going to replace him on the team, though?
there's options. I mean, there's still the Escobar guy from Houston is still on the table, but who's going to replace him tomorrow? I
Mm-hmm.
I have to. I didn't check. I have to check if Israel Boatwright is on the roster. I think he could get a start, but the most obvious candidate would be Gressel to get dropped, right? And then if he
Mm.
does get dropped, then you can put a Redondo in that spot. Okay,
Yeah.
you could do that, but I'm not sure. I wish I knew. Only Tata knows
Mhm.
right now. Only
Yeah.
Tata knows right now. But that's one of the things I would do right now. But
Mm-hmm.
Gressel, people are saying he's slow. He's a terrible defender. I don't think so. I don't think so. But that looks like the obvious move right now because if you look on the bench, well, you have a couple of young guys. You have
Yeah.
Paul, and maybe you can put another center back in and just move someone
Mm-hmm.
over. I'm not sure. Or
So
yeah, go ahead.
the way it sounds to me is that Nashville also has an opportunity to expose Miami because their defense is going to be, not solidified, not what they've
It's going to
been
be tweaked.
using.
Yeah, it's going to be tweaked.
Exactly, it's going to be tweaked going into that match. So,
No, they definitely have an
mhm.
opportunity, and
and
at home.
I expect them to attack that side of the field.
Yeah, we got to see
Yeah.
what Tata's going to do. I don't foresee them going with the five in the back
Hmm.
already, especially against a Nashville team that doesn't look to have that great offensive firepower at the moment.
Yeah.
With their top guys injured. But we'll see. That's going to surprise. I had written, I had texted, I had tweeted out that Tata's decisions, right, are going to are going to be a big influence. His decisions in load management, when to rest, when not to rest, his decisions as to the tactics he's going to play. Obviously, that's the importance of the coach. This game to me is going to show me where Tata is, also his level of coaching right now. Because he did a master class, I think, against Orlando. I think Pareja didn't expect Miami to come out blazing, defending on top of his. I don't think they ever expected that, and I don't think they ever made the adjustment or just got back in the game because of that. This game, I want to see what Tata's going to do. How is he going to hide that hole in the defense right now?
Yeah.
How is he going to keep Miami, going forward? That's little Tata there barking. Tatico.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, they bark at the perfect moment.
It's all good, man. All right. So you also mentioned to me before the show, the Miami's bringing in a player by the name of Matias Rojas. What can you tell me about this guy?
Okay, I'm not an expert on him because I haven't seen a great deal. I've seen some of the games from Paraguay when they played in the qualifiers and stuff. But I've seen some video since I got the information.
Yeah.
And it's one of those guys. He's a lefty, and it's one of those guys. Whoever used to love John Malta kicking far away with his left. Well, you're gonna get like maybe a little bit better version than John Malta, I think, in regards to the power behind the kicks.
Yeah.
He's got a very elegant left.
Got a cannon.
Yes, he's got a cannon. One of those lefties that every time they hit it, that ball goes poof. You hear it, poof.
Yeah,
it explodes. And he's got talent, and he's smooth. So I think
how old is he?
He's 28, I believe. He's 28. He's in his prime.
Not bad. Yeah,
he's in his prime, and I think he's going to help the team. They shipped Malta out, got that big salary out. This guy's coming in. I don't know what his salary is. Maybe.
And which team is he coming from again?
He's coming from Corinthians in Brazil, and which is a popular team, a known team in Brazil, one of the top flight teams over there.
We've covered their games here, some friendlies here in Florida before.
And if you have a guy from the outside, from Paraguay, coming in playing one of these offensive skill positions, he's got to be good because that's what you have in Brazil. Everybody's talented, everybody's skillful. So if you got this guy coming in, he's got to be good.
It's very telling about the MLS in general, how players could end up not working out in a team, and they'll go to Brazil and play top flight in Brazil. And how maybe there's a guy that's really good in Brazil, and they'll bring him over to MLS. So I think
MLS has been a gateway.
The level of MLS has
it's much better than before.
Much better than
it's not your grandpa's MLS or your dad's MLS.
Exactly.
No, this is
not
a
at all.
It's a lot better. The league's a lot better as far as a lot of young players. It's developing a lot of young players coming in and with the hope of moving out. But it's also like a stepping stone it's an open door for South America. Like these guys are wanting to come over here, they're wanting to come over here. They want to make dollars and and play in these great stadiums and get exposure because they have their eyes on MLS. You're getting guys getting ball. You got guys in the academies getting taken out, to Europe. So the league is doing well. All that without the big money budget that other leagues have.
Yeah,
which
for
hopefully
sure.
at some point occurs.
Yeah. All right. So who do you have? Do you have a prediction for tomorrow's game?
I think for this game, I would go a 2-0,
Okay.
Miami.
Cool. All right.
We'll see. I mean, It's been very tough. I
Yeah.
saw there was a stat that nobody's won by more than 2 goals. Like nobody scored more than 2 goals over there in that stadium.
Oh
So
wow.
I think so. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go 3-0 to
All
say
right.
Miami's the first team that's gonna do that out there and control that.
Yeah.
And one of those goals is gonna be by Campapi.
I love it. All right, so I want to get into a little bit before we end the show about Orlando's game yesterday. They played against Tigres, UANL, Universitario, I think, right? That's
Good
what that
team.
stands
Good
for.
team.
Good team, yeah. They finished third in the Clausada, and now they're currently sixth in the Apertura.
So yeah, it's one of the money
Clausura,
teams.
my
Yeah,
bad.
they're one. No, no, that's fine. They're one of the money teams over there.
Yeah.
So and they have very. I saw some of the match. To be honest, I saw the second half mostly. I saw a little bit because I was driving from work,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't thoroughly impressed by either team in that game.
Mm-mm.
And they're to me they're two of the better teams in the
Yeah.
tournament. To be honest, it's just my opinion. Tigres is always going to be one of the better teams there because of the money that they spend and they have
Mm-hmm.
expensive players. I wasn't overly impressed, and I thought to myself, you know what? Everybody's talking about Inter Miami have winning CONCACAF, right?
Yeah.
After that game, I said these are two of the better teams, and I think Miami can beat either one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
there definitely is a possibility, barring
Yeah.
any injuries or any unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
I
But
was talking too far, too far ahead.
yeah, I know.
They haven't even played
Seriously.
their first game.
But fun fact, Orlando played Tigres last season in the CONCACAF Champions Cup and also in the round of 16. And they drew both matches last year and they drew last night. But the difference is that last year, when they played in Orlando, it was a 1-1 draw, as opposed to when they played in Monterrey, it was a 0-0 draw. So now Orlando kind of flipped it, and they have a chance to return the favor as they head to Monterrey next week to try to knock them out. Even if they draw 1-1, that's it. Orlando passes through, and they return the favor. But like you said, you weren't impressed with either team, but I think that's what happens when you have two evenly matched teams playing against each other. It gets, it becomes an ugly match. It gets chippy, which
Yeah,
is what happened
they
yesterday.
did get chippy. Well, but
Yeah,
Orlando gets chippy with everybody, man.
that's
I don't
true.
know what's up with that purple, that purple, the Barney purple. I don't know what the hell is wrong with
Yeah,
that team. But they get chippy with everybody. But they're a tough team.
they
They're a
are tough.
rough team.
I like
They're
it.
a
I like
rough.
that they do that. I like that they
No,
do that.
it's their culture, right? It's their character.
Exactly.
That's gonna be
Hmm.
it's a gritty team. It's a gritty. That's why
Yeah.
they hate Inter Miami. They think it's all splash but you know what? Inter Miami was out gritty. Was grittier than them in that game because Inter Miami came and defended like
Yeah,
dogs. So
that's true. That is very true. But yeah, man, crazy that they've played 3 matches and they've all been draws against each other, and they don't even play in the same league together. You know what I mean? So we'll
and
see.
they don't have and they're
Fourth
not in the
time's a
same
charm.
league. They're not in the same league money wise because the Monterrey
Yeah.
Tigres team is much more. So it tells you about the development and what's
Hmm.
going on in MLS, right? You got
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If MLS was able to spend that type of money,
Hmm.
they say, oh, MLS is never going to be a top league. It's one of the top
No,
leagues
wait.
already on this side.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Wait till the money's there. Wait till
hopefully
the
right.
money's there.
Hopefully because
That's gonna change a lot of things.
I think that's one of the things Inter Miami is driving that everybody else is looking and saying, these guys are getting everybody. That's not right.
Yeah.
Open up, and let
Hmm.
everybody do it. Miami's
Yeah.
doing everything, legit. And you
Yeah.
just a quick point, if I can touch this because I want to explain. I always see everybody bitching and whining. Oh, some guy wrote that. Oh, it must be great to have 7 DPs. You know
Yeah.
what? Do you remember? And I'll give you perfect examples. You guys remember Michael Jordan's teams, stag teams? You remember the Miami Heat team, LeBron, Bosh, Wade, and all the other guys. What happens when you have marquee, excellent players? You had LeBron James, right? So a bunch of guys came in, and what did they do? They took less money. They
Yeah.
took less money. They're worth much more, but they said,
Hmm.
screw it, I'm going for the rings. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
You got people. The perfect example is this kid Redondo. He's talking. What did he say? He came. Obviously, Messi was one of the reasons he came here too. He wants to play with. People want to play with perhaps the greatest player of all time right before it's his time to go. You know, he just won World Cup. He still got that shine. You can still see the brilliance and the greatness in him, and people want to come here. How could Suarez? You know, how can I afford Suarez? Because it's his freaking best friend, and he says, you know what? Let's go play, bro. How much you gonna pay me? Let's go play. Yeah, Alba. Their bodies. I don't think they understand how tight these guys are. How tight they are as friends and as their families are tight. So they took less money and they worked with Messi to come here. You know,
exactly.
If something and what have they done? They also, you know, they worked with the U22 initiative, got really good players. You know, they have a young VP, which allowed them to do that. They've done things that any team can do. What's the difference? Other guys are not going to take a pay cut to come play to your team, right? Because you don't have Messi. You don't have Messi. If you have someone that can draw those players in and do that, that's how it happened. And Miami has, you know, it just happens to be that people love Messi and Miami's a great city to be in. So, you know what? Sucks to be you. It's great to be pink. It's great to be pink.
Yeah,
pink over purple.
I can't argue with that.
Pink over purple. Pink owns the state.
Look, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Let's say for Orlando, I see a lot of that same complaint you were talking about from Orlando fans, obviously because I cover the team. What's gonna happen? You know, people are saying Neymar wants to come and might possibly join Inter Miami, but what if he says, "No, I want to go to Orlando because they have a huge Brazilian population, and I just want to be amongst my people."
That would be great.
What if he does that, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of Brazilians from the Brazilian league that are great say, "Oh, I want to go play in Orlando too with Neymar." Okay,
then they're going to be saying, "Oh no,
exactly." Exactly.
Just
now, people obviously they're upset because it's not their team that's profiting.
That's all that is.
But people need to realize that the MLS is in a state where you want to see. Even if it's not your team, you want to see a team doing this because it's just going to improve the league.
You want to see super teams. That's what every sport. Let's talk baseball. Yankees, Red Sox. Just naming teams off the top. Basketball, Celtics, Lakers, the Knicks, and the Knicks are shitty, but you know it's a big team. The Heat now, teams that are super teams all the time, right?
Super teams grow leagues, man.
Well, the football, NFL is a little more parity, right? But you still have teams that dominate. You talk about the Patriots, right? How many people, how many guys went to play for New England for pennies on the dollar to go win Super Bowls?
That's right.
So what the F are you
including Tom Brady? Tom Brady took pay cuts every season, it feels like.
To allow other guys to come to play with them. But it's okay because it's Boston. No. Because when it's Miami, they're cheating. Okay, they got caught before, but it was another guy. It wasn't Henderson. Henderson wasn't the guy running that, so I can understand. So you know, right, so you know, man. So stop hating. Just enjoy it, and you know what? Ask for more super teams and get your team to be a super team.
Yeah. All right, so you got Miami 3-0 versus Nashville or Orlando.
He agrees with me.
He agrees with you. Yep. Orlando has not scored against a team that is not the Calvary FC. They haven't scored any goals against, so
it's tough, right?
This,
it's tough when you're starting out.
Yeah, this Saturday is a big match, in my opinion, for Orlando as they play Minnesota at home because they need to get that gorilla off their back, man. They need to score a goal and win.
If they have another draw, or if God forbid they lose, that monkey on their back becomes King Kong.
You know what? Even if they draw 3-3, we need to see some goals. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A 3-3 draw, it's gonna suck because they didn't win again, but that's a step forward.
At some point, it's gonna happen because once again, we know it's a very good team, and they have often. Before the game, I had written, Miami has to be super disciplined defensively to defend well as a team because they have such attacking, firepower, and they still have it. It hasn't been functioning yet, right? But
they haven't figured it out yet.
At some point,
with the new
some poor team is gonna get Orlando with the and Orlando's gonna put 4 on them, and then we're gonna say, okay, now they're back. Respect to Orlando, but Miami's still Miami. They whooped that because Miami was effective, and you got guys. That's the difference between the great players. You get the opportunity, put it in.
That's right. All right, man. I think we should change the name of this show to the Sunpass Derby podcast.
Sunpass. I like my Sunpass Derby.
All right, man. I got Orlando winning at home on Saturday, 2-0 against Minnesota.
Well, Minnesota's a tough team, right? Up and coming team. A little surprising. It's a good deal for them. I'm not gonna make a prediction for Orlando City because honestly, they could lose every game for all I care. I think they're a very talented team. I really do.
No, bro. We want the rivalry, the derby to be hard fought. We want it to be a thing. We don't want it to be so one sided. That's boring.
No, well, I don't mind the one side. I enjoy the 4-5-0. No, but really, it was unexpected. But Orlando has done that to Miami before too. Not to that extent, but they have. Orlando has dominated the series overall. But now it's a new era, and we'll see how it continues to go. But I'm sure Orlando's going to be fine, man.
They'll be fine.
Solid. I hope they go. I was going to ask this. Am I a bad Inter Miami guy if I say that I hope that Orlando keeps going and beats Tigres and keeps going? Like, I want the MLS team
of course.
to keep going. And then, once that happens, then I want Miami to whoop everybody.
No, that's a fine way to look at it, man. We want everybody, all MLS fans, want the league to grow and become the premier soccer league in this side of the world. You know what I mean?
Hopefully, these owners wise up and start losing up some of these restrictions.
Yeah,
and things get even nicer because then you can have more of these guys. Believe it or not, there's a lot of these guys in Europe that would fancy coming here. Let's say even Griezmann. Griezmann is like what? I think he's 30. I don't know how he's still in his
early
prime.
30s.
Yeah, right, he's still in his prime, and he's mentioned.
He's mentioned it a few times. Yeah.
So that's going to happen at some point. Neymar, you're talking about Neymar. Neymar mentioned that very real possibility. Imagine Neymar. The problem with Neymar in Miami, it's like if
he's a party animal. Yeah. That's why he needs to go to Orlando. Neymar needs to go to Orlando because everything closes early over here.
He'll ruin Disney.
All right, Xavi. Thanks for coming on with us again. Everybody, we'll see you for episode 6 of the Vice City FC.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Peace.
Have a good one, guys.